kids? How is everybody doing? I hope you're all doing all right. Oops, I just turned off something I was supposed to. There we go. Yeah, this stream today is kind of a stream of fuck ups. Um, I haven't even started, and everything got fucked up already. Discord fucked up. I can't get into my Discord. Um, my stream key was fucked up. I had to redo that. So I guess the overarching theme, or overarching theme, I guess, however it's pronounced, is this is a stream of fuck ups. So hey kids, how's everybody doing today? I hope you're doing all right. This is the Abyss. I am, of course, your host, the Eternal Abyss. How is everybody doing? Excuse me if I sound like I have the sniffles. I don't. I have no coof. I'm perfectly fine. It is just allergies and sinus issues, as it is a staple in the streams that I do. Apparently, my what's my safe word? My safe word. Leave me the fuck alone, I guess, is my safe word. I don't know. I never put much thought into it. I don't use safe words. I live on the edge. Deeper. Yes, daddy, please. Maybe that. I don't know. I'll give it some thought. I'll get back to you on that one, Titsu. I haven't thought too much about that. So this is kind of an unplanned stream, like most of my streams are nowadays. I don't have materials prepared. I don't have deep research and deep dives. Yes, you're right. Titsu, planning is important, but because I literally don't really give too much of a shit about much of this political stuff anymore, it's more reactionary at this point. I hear stuff, I react to it, and I mean, it's not like I didn't react to stuff in my daily streams when I was doing a daily stream. It's just I had more invested interest, I had more time, and I actually gave a bit more of a shit about all this stuff. So now it's a little different. So when things come up, if it strikes my fancy in the correct way, then that's when I decide I'm gonna do a stream about it. So if you like to hear my randomness every so often, consider following, supporting, and everything. My stream should be up and running on, by the way, should be up and running on the YouTubes and the D Lives. And I know D Live is crap, but hey, what are you gonna do? Those are the accounts I had, and those are the accounts I'm keeping. So deal with it. I guess is what I'm gonna say. Excuse me. So the reason why I decided to jump on this stream is because there's been a lot of news about Twitter, and there's always been a lot of news about Twitter ever since Elon Musk talked about taking it over. Said he was not gonna take it over anymore. Then the deal went through. Now he's doing all this stuff. And the SJWs and the left, they're losing their minds. They're having constant meltdowns. And I thought I'd just put my little 2 cents on that because I find the whole thing interesting. The left wants to talk about how the Twitter files in particular, it's a nothing burger. They're falling flat. There's nothing there. It's not interesting. And instead, whether there is a nothing burger or not is irrelevant because that's just nonsense, first of all. And it's obviously a talking point that they want to push because they really want to diminish how bad things were in Twitter. And the Twitter files have been pretty revealing when it comes to that. What do I do daily? To max? To max what? I don't... um... But as I was saying, the Twitter files really do reveal uh some insight. I just work all day. I'm busy. I have a lot of stuff that real life interferes with my online stuff, so I have to deal with a lot of the stuff that adults have to deal with, unfortunately. I would be curious to see that too, Doom 2, the Twitter files on the Pelosi Hammer incident. That kind of went under the rug pretty fucking quick. Yes, I saw about that giant tank burst in Germany, and I feel bad for the fishes. I mean, 1,500 fish dead because you wanted a giant ass aquarium and a giant decoration in your hotel. That's terrible. I mean, I feel bad for the people that got injured too, don't get me wrong. But at the same time, it's like, that's just that was purely a aesthetic thing to have in a hotel. No, there's only photos of the before and afters. Yeah, a free sushi. There you go. I don't know if some of the fish that were in there were sushi grade. Is all I'm saying. The decline of German engineering. Yes, I suppose that is a sign of that, isn't it? Good lord, I hadn't even thought about that. Then what German poster said it was made by Americans? Yeah, I guess. I don't know. Where was I on January 6th? I think I was streaming. I was either streaming or I was at home looking over the news. I don't know. What day was January 6th in the week? Was that a work week? Because I was working at the time too. And I'm still working, but in different capacities. So I'd have to look back in the calendar and see. But let's not get into the whole January 6th thing, because that's a whole different rant. But we may be able to get into that later. But essentially, what I wanted to just kind of talk about in the Twitter files, I'm not going to do a deep dive. I'm not going to go through all the files. I'm not going to read through everything and kind of relay my thoughts on every single period and comma and adjective and noun. I'm not going to do that. There's plenty of places that do a lot more of those deep dives and even a more kind of step-by-step kind of breakdown of it and explanation of certain things. I mean, Steven Crowder, for example, is one guy who's done video. He's done like 3 or 4 episodes on the Twitter files, so you can actually get a lot of information there. That's not the goal and the point of this. I just wanted to talk about how the media has been framing that. That's really what I wanted to focus on, because you have huge amounts of revelations in these Twitter files. And you have the left really kind of pushing it downward as if it doesn't matter, as if it's nothing, if it's just, oh, it's no big deal, it's just nonsense, you know, nothing burger. And instead, what happens with the Twitter files, it shows how certain people within the organization has so much veto power and so much like power put into one individual that they can make decisions that could thwart not only the entire like community and entire company of Twitter, where one individual, that lawyer lady, whatever the fuck her name is, Vagina something, I don't know, I can't even remember her name, and I don't even care to try and remember her name, but so much power was put into her that not only she overrode basically like the CEO, Jack Dorsey didn't even know what the fuck was going on. He found out after the fact, for example, that Trump got banned. Is that even heads of state at the time said this is a bad thing. This is a bad idea. This is a bad precedent to set. You don't want to ban Trump. Whether you don't like him or you don't like him, you don't want to ban him. She basically gave the middle finger to her boss, the company, heads of state, and said, I'm going to ban Trump because basically it's her own personal vendetta. That's it. That's basically what it boils down to. She hated Trump so much that she's going to just construe anything that he tweeted about, because he tweeted about something and used the word patriots, and she's like, well, it doesn't seem like coded language, but I'm going to consider it coded language, and that's that. Because whatever I want to interpret it as coded language is coded language, and that's inciting violence, that's violating the rules, blah 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 blah. Done. So to me, it's rather amazing and disturbing that so much power would be put into one individual to make that sort of decision. I think she hated it. I think it was a personal thing. And I think it's 50-50. Part of it is that she hated him so much, and part of it was the other part of what the Twitter files have revealed. The other part of the Twitter files have revealed that the FBI and Twitter were like this, basically. They were really hooked into each other. Really hooked into each other. It's incredible how a bureaucratic agency, because that's what the FBI is at the end of the day, there's no oversight. There's no real oversight. There's no check and balances within the FBI. Or hooked so much. Well, I just have my fingers, my index fingers hooked together in two hooks hooking to each other. They're basically they're basically one and the same, in the sense that if you have the FBI instructing Twitter to do stuff and Twitter goes, yes sir, yes ma'am, how high you want me to jump, you want me to bend over and drop my pants, yes sir, yes ma'am, you know, if they're just going ahead with everything that the FBI is saying, they're working as a function of the government at that point. They are a government agency. So this whole argument of, oh, it's a private company, they can do what they want, they can implement any policies they see fit. Oh, I'd be glad to join them on the Rims News Network. If Doom and Kittler will have me, I'm happy to join them. Why not? Of course, you have to put that on my stream. Thank you, sir. But anyways, what I was saying is this, is that you have a problem. You have a problem when a bureaucratic agency is basically pulling the strings of Twitter and Facebook. Because if you think this is happening solely with Twitter, you're delusional. You're living in a fantasy land. This is definitely happening with Facebook. This is definitely happening with Apple, Google, Microsoft. All the big guys are hooked in. Simple. And at this point, all these 230 protections, for example, that social media has, that goes away when it comes to them acting as an arm of the government, when they're acting under the direction of, let's say, the Democratic Party, for example, the Democrats. Because the FBI has been basically playing guard for the Democrats. Pretty much. And there are some things that I feel that are good about, going more towards Elon Musk now. Because there's not much else to say about the Twitter file. It's just, it is what it is. All these things that have come out, basically everything with the Twitter files is pretty much corroborating what people like myself have been saying for a long time, that social media and big tech are nothing but arms of the Democrat Party. arms, not just arms, but branches. They're acting as a branch of government. They're acting as a propaganda arm and even enforcement arm in certain things. Do I have a trench coat in real life? Sorta. I have a gray coat, a long gray coat. It's not quite a trench coat, but I do have a fedora. I should get that trench coat. I've been wanting to, actually. I've been wanting to see if I can find... I do have leather gloves. I have the leather gloves. I have the trench coat. Not the trench coat, I'm sorry. I have the fedora. I have the leather gloves. I need the trench coat, and I want to get a Rorschach mask that I can put over my face too, so I can actually get on stream via camera and you could actually see me talk instead of using shitty platforms like Discord. So, you know, we'll see. We'll see one day. You know, if I get donations and subscriptions and whatever, I can use that to fund the get me on camera with the actual costume. Yeah, I did it first. Fuck yay. He ripped me off. I should sue. I should definitely sue. That's right. Taking a sip of my drink there, excuse me. So, but going to Elon now, you know, I want to talk a little bit about Elon Musk because there's been some big news about what's been going on lately. Because he's been dropping the ban hammer on certain people, but now he pussed out and reneged on that. And I'm just sorry, my money went to the Trump NFT. Damn you. All right, well, it's okay. You're still my friend. I appreciate it. I appreciate you listening and supporting, even virtually. I'm disappointed in Elon Musk, and this is why I'm disappointed in Elon Musk, because he came in kind of like a white knight with all these promises of, oh, we're gonna fix everything. We're gonna make Twitter a platform for free speech. We're gonna apply the rules equally, so to speak, etc., etc. And yet, at every opportunity when he starts to do something, he starts going in the right direction, he completely backtracks. And this latest example right here is what I'm talking about. These people were doxing his location in real time, and okay, granted, the issue is the private jet that he uses. There's a tracking app, and it is public. It's public information. So there is that to consider. That there's nothing really secretive about where his jet is coming and going. But the fact that people were using that to track his location, I think in that scenario, context can matter and does matter depending on why they were doing it. If it's just like an account that just talks about, oh, these are just the comings and goings of Elon Musk, I don't think the context in that really implies a risk to safety. When you have all these reporters pushing this stuff, when you have all these other accounts that were pushing it, that's when it starts getting a little hairy, starts getting a little fishy, and you have people like Keith Olbermann that got banned for it. Hey, Chet, thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah, every so often I decide to come on and rant. And that's where things get a little... that's where things get a little hairier, is when you have reporters and you have all these people sharing this location. That's not just for informational purposes, and it's kind of obvious that it's not just for informational purposes. They're provoking. They're oversharing it, and there's a lot of crazies out there, and Elon Musk has good reason to be concerned for safety. But the thing that pisses me off about this, the thing that really pisses me off about this whole thing, more than anything, I don't know why my chat is cut off on the left here. kind of annoys me here when I exited the chat. Not exited. I popped the window out, and it slightly cut, but it's fine. What I was saying is this: the thing that pissed me off about this whole thing with Twitter is this. So you have let me bring up an actual article that I have. Hold up. Let me, like I said, this isn't prepared at all. Let's see. So, let me see if I don't break my stream here, because Lord knows I've been known to do that. No, not that. Oh, maybe it was that. There we go. I'll have to read the size of it just a touch here. Stand by, kids. We'll be ready in just a minute. All right. I think that's good. All right, so this is what I'm talking about right here. You have he's reversing this entire wave of Twitter suspensions that he had. So he did all these things, and he put up a poll then, because not only did he get all this media backlash, which, you know, I don't necessarily give a shit about the media backlash. That's a given. You're gonna have journalists pissed off at him. He's pissed off a lot of people on the left because he's actually applying rules that Twitter has to the left. So obviously he's gonna get pissed off. I mean, they're gonna get pissed off about that, because God knows, you know, they shouldn't be subject to the rules. Why should they be subject to the rules? That doesn't make any sense, right? But apparently, him applying the rules equally, that's a no-no. That's a big no-no. But this is what happened here now. Not only did he put up this poll and he got this bullshit result of saying that people should he should unsuspend the accounts of the people that dox his exact location in real time. He also got threats from the EU. Here we go. Let's see if I can find it here. Let's see. Where was that? Because I saw this. Yeah, Keith Olbermann is a fucking idiot. Okay, this article doesn't seem to address this, but there was an article that talked about the poll, but I gotta find it now because I had it in my hands and I don't know what I did with it. But essentially, what the article was talking about was that he was also threatened by the EU that they were going to levy fines, and he was gonna because they're putting a law into place, and if he doesn't reverse them when the new law comes into place, he was gonna get fined by all this stupid shit. I was like, well, hold on. Wait a minute. The thing that struck me about that was, where's the fucking EU threatening Jack Dorsey, or threatening Facebook, or threatening any other platform that is banning people like, I don't know, Trump, a head of state? Where the fuck was the EU on that one? Where the fuck is the EU when Facebook was manipulating all those posts and ads and such to prevent people from seeing the New York Post article about Hunter Biden? Where was the EU about when that happened? Were they just out in the outhouse taking a shit or something like that? Like, what the hell were they doing? Yeah, the polling shit that he does is really annoying. I think the problem with the polling stuff is he's trying to absolve himself of personal responsibility of making a decision. Because if he is always gonna defer to quote the people, that means he's washing his hands like Pontius Pilate, saying, "Oh, you know what? The people have spoken. I can't. My hands are tied. I can't go against the will of the people." You would think so, friend. That's a very good point. For those that may not be seeing what chat says, you would think that the story of Jesus or Barabbas would be pertinent to making big decisions via popular consensus. The mistake is assuming that those who vote are qualified to determine who or what to vote for. Of course he knew what the result would be, because the system is still skewed in the favor of the left. He knows his polls are not going to be an accurate representation because he's never fixed the system. He still has all these bots on there. It can still be abused, severely abused. I can have 20 different Twitter accounts, right? And I could all vote in one way. So how does that represent anything in terms of the people? It doesn't represent shit. That's what it boils down to. Again, it's a way for Elon Musk to puss out, absolve himself of responsibility, relegate decision making to a flawed and broken and abused system, and that's what it boils down to. That's what it really boils down to. So that's really the crux of the issue that I have with Elon Musk. Elon Musk is a pussy. Elon Musk is not some sort of savior. Elon Musk is someone who has mooched off the government for a very long time. Obama, when he was a president, under the Obama administration, Tesla was literally in the hole, and they were being subsidized by the government. Tesla was one of those companies that was invested in by the Obama administration for doing all this green energy shit, and a lot of it went to crap. A lot of those companies didn't make it. But he kept going because he has other ventures that I guess he could use to fund it as well. And now, lo and behold, the governments are pushing more and more to use electric cars. I wonder why. And I wonder why, you have people like Elon Musk who won't even address the fact that his cars use materials that are mined in third world countries in deplorable conditions. So in chat, Fred is saying, you don't think it's just to wash his hands because he thinks you think he's a spurg who doesn't really understand how the world works or who runs it. He's just a useful idiot for the Jews to plan to take his tech and subjugate all who are not Jews. Let's not forget, Elon isn't self-made. His father owned an emerald mine. Well, that is true as well, that Elon Musk came from a background of wealth. Yeah. That's exactly what my point is about Tesla being subsidized. It's not that like he created companies that just were amazing and technology that was amazing and that he made all this money off of it. I mean, he has to give credit where credit is due, though. He has been able to keep things running like SpaceX and Tesla, for some reason now is still going, but that's very much propped up by governments and states, like the federal government and state governments. Um, and this whole climate change bullshit that's being pushed. So, I mean, the point being here is that Elon Musk is someone that I think too many people think he's going to fix things. He's some sort of savior. It's the same thing that people did with Trump when Trump started running for president. When he became president, everybody thought he was going to change everything. And Trump didn't. Well, yeah, exactly. That's the other thing too. They said Trump couldn't ban people because of First Amendment, but they could ban Trump. It doesn't even make sense. There's no connection there. It doesn't make any sense at fucking all. So that's the issue that I have with Elon Musk. I think people have this false savior complex with him. They think that he's gonna be fixing all this shit, and I think that he's doing nothing but make things necessary. I don't think he's necessarily making things worse, but he's not doing anything to make things better, in my view. I think the small things that he's done already, or like the things that he's talking about, they may be some minor, tiny improvements here and there, and dumping the Twitter files, letting people see the internal communications, is just how bad things were. I do think that's a positive thing. I think transparency in general is a positive thing. I think there should be way more transparency in the operations of Twitter, Facebook, Apple, Google, how they tie into the government. I mean, that was the whole thing with Edward Snowden and revealing the whole PRISM program under Obama. They were even spying on Angela Merkel. They were spying on our own allies. I don't know if he's a hypocrite, liar, Kittler, Giga Comfy. I'm not sure that if he's necessarily a hypocrite, liar. I think he's not as strong a leader as he'd like to portray himself to be. I think that's what it boils down to. Well, what example can you give of Elon being a liar? Like, what is there a concrete, like an actual example that you can give me? Because I don't know if I've necessarily seen him straight out lie through his teeth, like certain politicians and certain journalists. I've seen them do that. I've seen people like Keith Overman and other people lie. I've seen politicians like Nancy Pelosi lie straight through her teeth. People like Chuck Schumer. The Supreme Court of the United States, they just straight out lied, like when they said that they don't have jurisdiction over state controversies, which is the whole fucking point of the Supreme Court. That's what they are designed to resolve. That is specifically their jurisdiction. You'd think that what they're specifically designed for would be something that they would actually act on. So I don't know. I do think, like I said, I do think little steps that he's taking can be positive and are positive, like firing some people, yes, like dumping the Twitter files, yes. I don't think that's a good question, DoomTube. Actually, why would they sell to Tesla if they didn't agree or they didn't like him? Um, I think See, there's a couple schools of thought on that I think that you could look at. One is money talks. And because Tesla has had all these hooks with the government in the past, and Twitter was not making money at all, seeing a giant amount of billions of dollars coming in from Tesla, I mean, not Tesla, I'm sorry, from Elon Musk, may have been a driving factor in the decision in that. The other factor is kind of what you're saying, like if his data collecting through Tesla cars and his data collecting is valuable to them, selling Twitter to Elon Musk gives the impression of removing power from the elites and bringing it to the people, but he's still one of them. He still is hooked into that system. Because anybody that denies that Elon Musk hasn't been hooked into the government system for making money is just living a world of fantasy. Which goes back to what I was saying about how Tesla as a company was being run. Exactly, he's an elite. That's my whole point, Faust Maxing. He's very much hooked into that system. He may appear to people that don't pay attention as an outsider. You know, he may appear that way to people, but it doesn't necessarily mean he actually is. Yeah, I don't know too much about Neuralink bullshit, but you know, the more that stuff comes into play, the more I want to be off the grid. And eventually I may end up going off the grid, or this is something that I've always wanted to do, is actually get into um, developing anti-technology, so to speak. So I've always had a fascination, for example, with operating systems. For instance, for the longest time, there was this whole argument between DOS and the Apple DOS, for example, when DOS was a thing. Then Windows versus Mac, versus System 6, like the Apple system operating system, the System 6, System 7, things like that. And then you had OS X and Intel-based computers where there was more integration between PC and Apple. You could actually run Windows applications on a Mac. So what I think it would be very disruptive to these people is to have technology that basically subverts the fact that they have control over these platforms. David Sponheim? Who's David Sponheim? I'm not sure I'm familiar with him. So, oh, okay. Yeah, well, I mean, that's the thing is like I feel that having native platforms that run proprietary software like that, like Apple apps or Android apps, but Android is open source to an extent, anyways. But having a native platform that can run apps natively that aren't native, if that makes sense. Running non-native applications as native, as if it was a native application, is basically the solution, which would free people from these closed, locked-in systems. And you don't have to be breaking, for example, any sort of copyright, and you don't have to be breaking any sort of proprietary trademarks or anything like that. And you don't necessarily even have to do much reverse engineering and all that in that sense, because the beauty of the system. Let me see that link. Okay. Yeah, distributed networks, blockchains. Yeah, yeah. So, but it's that. But that's what I'm saying. You can bypass that shit. You can bypass the signed executables, even in your own operating system right now. You'll just get a warning saying, "Well, this is an unverified application. Are you sure you want to run it? It may be unsafe. It may have a virus. It may have a Trojan. It may have something else. You know, it may eat your firstborn. It may scratch off your face." Um, well, for now, you can bypass on their own systems. You can bypass. Eventually, they're not going to let you bypass. But that's the whole point. If you have a system outside of Windows, outside of OS X, outside of Android, outside of iOS, if you have a system that literally gives no shit about the signature system on these signed executables, if it just gives no shit about that and would run them regardless, then guess what? You just opened up your whole world to how things used to be, where people could just run anything on anything. And that's what I'm talking about. Well, eventually, maybe that may be a problem where it actually goes down to the hardware level, and if it goes down to the hardware level, that's where things get very complicated. Because now you're gonna have to find ways to spoof that. So that's the thing. But one step at a time. One step at a time. I think there are ways. This is the thing. If you study any modicum of computer science, you'll learn one very quick thing: that there's no such thing as foolproof. There is no such thing as unhackable. There's no such thing as 100% secure or 100% unpenetrable. In computer science, you'll learn incredibly quickly that everything has flaws. And it's not even flaws. It's not that there's flaws in everything. Actually, let me clarify. Everything has some degree of vulnerability. Maybe, maybe, but the problem with having a separate internet is then you're gonna have the same problem you have now with alternative social medias. Gab, not Proton. Gab, Parlor, Truth Social, etc. All those minds.com, all those alternative social medias just don't reach the caliber of Twitter in terms of how many users and data is on there, because all the mainstream stuff is staying on Twitter. All the mainstream stuff is staying in Facebook and in Google. You can't get away from those even if you create a second type of Google, like with DuckDuckGo. DuckDuckGo used to be the go-to search engine for those that did not want to use Google, and guess what? They started censoring and they started doing their own shit too. And that's the problem, is that there's no integrity in when you tech reaches a big size, like when tech reaches a certain degree of clout and power. They fold. They fold like a cheap like a card, a castle made out of cards. They fold over to what the government says. Just look what Elon Musk just did. The EU threatened fines, threatened whatever, and he just pussed out. So that's what it boils down to, in my view, is that you you're gonna run into that problem. Even if you have a secondary internet or an alternative internet that's that would be better overall. But even that secondary internet, I think, is gonna be prone to those kind of problems. Yeah, they want to track everything. They want to control everything. They want to have all this amassed power put in the hands of the very few, instead of having a more open system where everybody has degrees of control and you have multiple resources. Like the whole baby food shortage thing. Why are there like one or two tops basically suppliers of baby formula? Why the fuck is that even a thing? That's like saying that McDonald's is the only fast food joint that can do hamburgers. Why? That doesn't make any sense at all. Same thing with pharmaceuticals, that there's like these big, like 2, 3 giant ass companies that basically control everything in terms of pharmaceuticals that people consume. And they have a huge negative impact on the healthcare system, because instead of helping people actually try and figure out cures for things, or try and fix problems that they have health-wise, they're just pushing more pill popping, more and more and more and more. And ultimately, that's just not going to resolve the problem. You're slapping a band-aid on an issue. It's like you have a huge gaping chest wound and you're just trying to put little band-aids on it. That's not going to really help at the end of the day. So it's one of those things, you know? It's one of those things that it's all about control. And that's really what it's been it's what it's been about since the dawn of time. You know, nowadays we don't have necessarily a nobility, in the sense of we don't have dukes and lords and all these fancy titles that, you know, you had back in the day. Marquis, things like that. But you have elites nowadays in different forms. And that's what I think a lot of people don't understand, is that it's not a matter of right or left. It's not a matter of Democrats versus Republicans. And I've said this many times on my streams. It's a matter of elites wanting to control you. Power in the hands of the few instead of in the hands of the people. Where power should be. The whole point of how our government was designed and implemented was to put control in the hands of the people. It was supposed to be a representative government. But we don't have that anymore. We don't have that anymore. We have elections that YouTube may ban me for saying similar things like this, but we've had fraud in our elections for a long time. It has nothing to do with recent elections. You had fraud with Lyndon B. Johnson. You had fraud with John F. Kennedy. You had claims of fraud back in the days of Theodore Roosevelt and Lincoln and all those, and Jefferson. So it's not like election integrity is a topic du jour. It's not just a topic that came up now. But it's something that's been going on for a very, very long time. Well, that doesn't surprise me. The last boring stream. I mean, it nowadays with 5G towers, not just 5G towers, but communication towers being essentially the core system that is used for communication. Yeah, it doesn't surprise me that they would qualify in such a fashion that if there are abuses, it would qualify under crimes and territories. Crime has become more apparent since the information age. Always been there, always will be with centralized government. You know, that's very true. I mean, wherever you have power, like concentrated power, let me rephrase that. Whenever you have concentrated power, you're going to have corruption. So it's a thing, which is why having checks and balances is so important, which is why having a system put in place to hold people accountable is very important. And unfortunately, our system is, I feel, irreparably broken. I feel that our system is not only irreparably broken. I feel that it is not done being broken. That's the problem. It's not that we just have a broken system. I feel things are gonna get worse and worse and worse. And that's what's gonna happen. We've seen this happen in other countries. Yeah, you're gonna have government eventually may mandate shit like that, where you have to eat the bugs. I mean, they're already putting it in schools in Australia, where kids are eating cricket laced potato chips. They're already doing that. This isn't sci-fi. This isn't fantasy or fiction. It's already happening. Yeah, I know. I'm beating a dead horse. Or make hot dogs. Yeah, yeah. I don't know. I mean, I rant about this stuff all the time. I'm a broken record when it comes to this sort of thing. And I know that I'm a broken record about this sort of thing. I know I keep repeating myself about this sort of thing, but I can't help but bitch and moan about it because I feel like I'm alone in this in a certain way. I feel that people just don't get it. And I feel that I have to keep repeating it. I have to keep telling people, what are you guys doing? What are you doing to fix this problem? Because I mean, I could rant and rave about it, but I'm just one person. I'm just one person. There's not much that me as an individual can do. But we as a society, we could stand up to tyranny. It's been done before. It's just going to be difficult. It's going to be insanely disruptive to people's lives, and it's going to be difficult, and it's going to be, in many cases, deadly. Sacrifices will have to be made in many forms. And it's unfortunate that it has come down to this. It never should have come down to this. But But I don't know what other solution there is, because what are you gonna do? Keep voting in a system that's completely broken? Now you have Republicans, for example, talking about what happened with the midterms. You have Republicans saying, "Oh, we got to do early voting now. We got to do the ballot harvesting. We got to do everything that the Democrats are doing, but we got to do it quote legally." So essentially, they're advocating to commit the same level of fraud that has been done on the left. They're openly saying it. After these last midterms, I don't remember who it was, but they were on, I think it was Fox News. It was either Fox News or Newsmax, and that's what they were saying. Oh, we gotta do the same thing now. We're gonna have to, ballot harvest. We're gonna have to do early voting. We're gonna have to do everything that the Democrats do, but we'll do it legally though. So it's like, what the fuck? That's the plan? Let's not fix the broken system. Let's just abuse it just as much, if not more. But we're gonna claim that we do it legally? What the freaking hell? This last midterm was the first time ever since I was eligible to vote that I had turned 18. It was the first time that I hadn't voted in an election, like a major election, like a midterm or a presidential. Those were the ones I always voted in, and I decided not to. Exactly for that reason. Exactly for the bullshit that was said in that regards, where it's like, oh, we just gotta do the same bullshit that the left is doing, but we gotta do it in our own way. So, I don't know. It's just very frustrating. It's frustrating to hear people talk about this, like politicians and news media outlets talk about this sort of bullshit as if now this is the new normal. And what are we gonna do? The decision's been made. The higher ups have decided this is the new normal. This is how elections are run now. So it's like, so what choice do we have as people? What choice do we have? I don't see an option. I don't see participation as an option. But the problem is, you're gonna have people participate. Look on the sunny side of things. What sunny side? Eggs? Because you guys have been doing nothing but talking about eggs during my stream. I have some eggs actually. I could make an omelet, or I could make some scrambled eggs. Might do that later. That's an interesting perspective, last boring stream. It's like being a native Indian looking around as everything overtaking, there is no solution. Well... I don't know. See, that's an interesting perspective, the last boring stream. But even Native Americans, they actually have influence over governments in one form or another. Make sure you have good people to yoke with. Yeah, but I mean, Eventually, things are gonna get to the point where it's gonna be unlivable. I don't know if they do though, friend. See, a friend is saying, for those again that can't really see chat, that maybe, you know, watching this afterwards or whatever, men have the power to divest, that is, not support via taxes, to not give consent or partake in positive degeneracy. Well, the thing is this. Do men really have that power? Do they really have that choice? Because I can't choose to not pay taxes. I'm going to end up in jail. I have no real power to make a decision here. I don't want my taxes to go to a state like New York or a state like Michigan or a state like California. But what choice do I even fucking have at in this stage? They just hired 86,000 more agents and trained them with guns. They're gonna come after people like me. Well, Rampart, I can choose to not pay my taxes, but there's gonna be some severe damn consequences to that. Yeah, maybe go rural, but I mean, I would love to do that, but at the same time, I'm still going to be under the jurisdiction of corruption. Just take the jail time, bro. Be a jailhead. Yeah, that's exactly right. The last boring stream, being rural is already being called white supremacy. That if you don't want to live in the cities, you're a white nationalist or some other bullshit, idiotic title of that nature. It's a situation that, and the thing is, this is like, I don't even give a shit about politics anymore. Like, I used to be far more invested in this, and like, I don't even want to be involved in it anymore. To an extent, I just want to live my life and be left the fuck alone. Yeah, but the thing is, you can't really walk away. That's my whole point here. There's only so much walking away. I mean, they have laws in place that I can't collect rainwater, for example. And if somehow, people come after me and they see me collecting rainwater because I don't want to use the water system, it's a stupid example. I grant that it's a stupid example, but it's kind of an example of what I'm talking about here. I can try and separate myself as much as possible and be completely self-sufficient off the grid, or create my own mini grid that I can isolate myself from. Is that so? A groidal of floggers? Is that your name? A groidal of floggers. Good morning, sir. Yeah, I don't stream as often as I used to. And that's the other point too. Last morning stream, like I said I was gonna give up when our country died, essentially when our country was handed over and to tyranny, when we had a pedophile installed, with a dementia riddled pedophile installed as president because of what happened. This, the most secure and most legitimate election ever. I had said I'm done. I'm going to give up my American citizenship, and I'm gonna figure out where else I can go. But I don't even know what options there are. There are no options. And I'm not saying I've given up on that idea. I'm not saying that I'm reneging on my word. I'm generally a man of my word, and if I can find a solution, I will give up my American citizenship because I don't see the value in it anymore. Just don't get caught. It's not so much a matter of don't get caught, it's a matter of who's gonna narc on me. I don't care about rules being followed or not followed. Like when the whole mandates were put down and the mask bullshit and all that nonsense were put down, I didn't follow it. I didn't care. But it wasn't so much the fact that government was enforcing it. They didn't need to enforce it. Government didn't need to enforce the mandates. They relied on bullshit companies like Costco, supermarket chains like Giant Eagle, retail companies like Best Buy. They relied on these companies to enforce their rules, even if these own companies were actively discriminating themselves against their own employees. I have evidence. I have all the information. I have everything. For example, I know Best Buy. I know a specific location of Best Buy where the store manager specifically discriminated against their employees that had disabilities and could not wear a mask, or had health conditions that are not allowed them to wear masks, and they did not schedule them to work. I do. I have documented evidence of this. Yeah, boycott these companies. Okay, so I boycott a company, me, myself. And then everybody else still goes to these bullshit companies. Boycotts don't work. Look at Chick-fil-A. Chick-fil-A, they used to be the poster child for conservative companies. What did they do? They caved to the left. They donated to like LGBT stuff because they were scared of being labeled homophobes. So ever since they've done that, I have not gone to Chick-fil-A once. There's still lines wrapped around the block to go to fucking Chick-fil-A because people still go there. And then there's that too, DoomTube. That is absolutely right. If you boycott too hard, they'll pass laws against you. There's no, this is the problem. There's no consistency in how things are applied anymore. That's also part of it too, Groidel. Yeah. These companies are cucking because they're afraid of leftist mobs burning their shit down and harassing their customers and investors. Since we know the companies react to violence or the threat of violence, it would seem the only way to get the companies to do what we want is to become more violent than the left. Unfortunately, that may be the case. And I'm not pushing for violence, for the record, because I don't want YouTube to say I'm inciting violence, because I'm not. I don't like the idea of a violent uprising. I am not giving you a call to violence. I am not. Negatory, stand down. Stand down. No screaming trouts. Stand down. No, do not throw the eggs. Do not throw the eggs on a business. Okay, Rampart is pushing for violence, but that's Rampart. I'm not Rampart. He's a violent crab. I am not a violent crab. What business do you need me to take? None. No businesses. It's fine. He is an adorable crab. Your dream would be of finding. Hold on. Your dream would be of finding some way to have children without needing even birth certificates? Well, technically speaking, if you do a home birth and you never do a birth certificate, I mean, I guess you just complicate things when it comes to getting paperwork done, but I don't know. You said your activation word eggs? Oh boy. Well, they have birth certificates, I suppose, but they don't want to show it to you. You feed your chickens tannerite. Things are legally grenades. Wow. That's pretty amazing. You know, I've known people that when they were born, it never got registered, so they technically didn't know when their birthday was, and they had to just choose an arbitrary month and date to like a month and day so they could get some paperwork done. But technically that was it. That was the only reason why they had to do it, is because they needed it for some paperwork. But they themselves did not have a birth certificate. They did not have. It never got registered in the, in the proper channels. So, and he lived his entire life and it was fine. He was able to function and do whatever he needed to do, I guess, like to live his life, to get married, have kids of his own, have a house, retire, work, whatever. So I don't know. I mean, there are, like you guys are saying, there are ways to get around the system, but I think at this point, there are a lot of limitations. I think there's a lot of limitations to getting around the system, and I think there's also a lot of societal structural issues that come into play when you want to try and like live your life. Like if I want to just work, I have to hook into certain things, whether I want to or not. I'm kind of forced to. If I want to earn, if I want to, save up for my retirement, and I'm not getting any younger either. I mean, that's the other thing. It's gonna take a lot of effort to go off the grid in many cases. And you can't half-ass it too. That's the thing. Like if I wanted to go completely off the grid, I mean, you'd have to do it all the way. No more internet. No more realms.pub. I won't be on this. I won't be doing streams, period. I won't be using a cell phone. I won't be using a computer. Getting completely offline, essentially. So I don't know. I mean, I've been trying to actually divest myself from different technologies. For example, like I have tried to avoid using Google for a very, very long time. I tried to avoid using Facebook for a very, very long time. I've tried to avoid other platforms and softwares and things like that, but it's kind of impossible. I think the only real solution, I think the only real solution to be completely off the grid in an easy way would be to join a monastery. Like join an order of poverty or something like that. Join something where you just abandon society altogether and you go and live out with the monks out in the middle of nowhere, and you do farming, and you do, all you do is everything to maintain that community. That's what you need to do. And there are these monasteries. There are all these, but even in those cases, you still have to like. Well, they can't force me to pray for anybody. I could just pray for myself. Would you still stream with the monks? I don't know. I don't know if they have internet. Maybe I could convince them. I don't know. It's not that kind of order. It's not that kind of order, the last boring stream. They're not gay monks. They're like Franciscans. I visited one of those monasteries out in the middle of the mountains one time. It's actually very cool. Very, very cool. Brother Nathaniel build. Yeah, something like that, I suppose. Jesuit abyss. No, not Jesuits. Jesuits are weird. I find Jesuits to be very weird. I already have found Jesus, Chet. I'm Catholic. I have no problem with Christianity. I'm a Christian. I'm Catholic, so I don't have an issue with it. But my faith is something that's separate from what happens in society. I could be, South America. South America is a mess. Where he at though? Exactly. That's what I was just about to say. What Chet says. He's in your heart. uh Thank you, Titsu. I needed that laugh. That was a good one. There's plenty of Jesuses in South America. Yep. I love that image. I love that image of Jesus with the little I don't know, Pepe or Apu, however he's called. I think it's hilariously cute. Moved to somewhere in Alaska. Alaska's cold. That's the problem. I'm solar powered, man. I don't like the cold. For you, Faust Vaxing, I will stream my necking if I ever get to that point. I promise. Hey, oh, there you go. Yeah, the last boring stream, geothermal. That is, that's actually not a bad idea. In fact, that really I feel should be the way of the future. Yep. I let me put it this way. There's certain things about cold that I do like, in the sense of like I love a fireplace. And I love being able to use fire as a source of warmth. It's still remote, it's still America, yeah. That's a pretty valid point, Chet. I actually knew people that lived in Alaska. Yeah, but you can't use a fireplace when it's hot. I lived in very hot climates, and it's so sad to have a fireplace in a hot climate and not being able to use it. I was in that situation, and it's no bueno. And I can dig me some hot chocolate, man. Speaking of hot chocolate, I do have all the necessary requirements for making hot chocolate. I may end up doing that. Move to the Czech Republic. I don't speak Czech. Serbs are, is it Serbs or Slavs in those areas? I don't know. Technically, it's not true, Rampart. You're correct. Technically, you could use a fireplace where it's hot, but it's not going to be comfortable in any shape, way, or form. Killer is castle maxing now. Do they? I never been. I've never been to the Czech Republic, so I have no idea. No, it seems like ladies there are quite attractive. More Austrian, yeah, yeah. I've never tried Czech beer. I'm not much of a drinker, admittedly. It's full of baby-handed brown gypsies. Ooh. I don't know about the best girls in the world, Kittler, because Giga Comfy, because I've been in different countries around the world, and there's some very, very, there's this comedian. His name is Pablo Francisco, and he was talking about how girls, they were fine girls. He's like, not just fine, they're like fine. And that's what I mean. It's like I've seen some girls in some countries that were fine. They were really, really attractive. Italian girls can be very beautiful. Very beautiful. I've seen some Czech girls that are very beautiful too. Really? What do you mean, the last boring stream? I don't think I ever saw that episode of Mythbusters. That a certain fireplace will actually cool your house because it sucks out all the warm air. I'd have to see that episode, I think. I don't think I've ever seen that one. Northern Italian or Southern Italian? That's kind of an interesting question because I've seen both. And there are some really freaking beautiful Sicilian ladies. And some beautiful Northern Italian ladies. Swede girls talk like marble moof retards. Really? I've seen some pretty attractive ladies that are from like the Netherlands. Those like 6'5", blonde, blue-eyed, unnatural looking women. Some Russian women are very attractive too. I don't know. I mean, I think all countries have a certain degree, but I don't know. French Canadian waifus. I don't know about French. I don't know about Canada. I don't know about Canada. Canada kind of reminds me a lot of England. England, you don't have a lot of attractive people that are English. Dark Irish. Dark Irish can be pretty attractive. And by dark Irish it just means brunette. That dark hair, pale skin. What, they sound like the Swedish Chef? Is that what you're telling me, Faust? That whole doop-a-doop-a-doop, bork, bork, bork. I used to love the Swedish Chef. before Disney had to shit on that too. Because Disney has to shit on everything. Southeast Asian waifu. But I'm not a boom. Well, I don't know. I'm getting close to being a boomer, I guess. I don't know. I'm not. I've been called a boomer, even though I don't quite fit in the boomer age range. Is my stream stuck?